How to make a difference in the world. It's Kute here, author of The Magic of Surrender. This is a question that I get a lot. How do I make a difference on the planet? How do I live my purpose? How do I make an impact? What can I do when I look at the world and I see the world going through so much stuff? What the difference I can make? What is there for me to do? Often it's easy to look at the world sometimes and maybe feel a sense of despair, feel frustration as we look at the world right now going through so much, as we look at the world going through so much change, going through so much challenge, as old systems are falling apart, old economic models, the political system, financial system falling apart. It's sometimes easy to look at the world and feel a bit helpless or feel a sense of despair. But when I look at the world right now, in a strange way, I'm filled with hope. Yes, old systems are collapsing. Old ways of doing things are falling apart. But I feel as though we're going through one of the greatest transformations in human history. We're going through a quantum leap, a quantum shift in consciousness to be birthed into a new humanity. So when we look at the world, if we just see what's going wrong, if we just look at what's not working, if we just look at what's falling apart, it can be quite depressing. We end up feeling disempowered. We end up not taking action. Nothing shifts, nothing changes. That is not a contribution to humanity. It's easy to look at the world and point the finger and blame. Blame the president, blame the government, blame a country, blame a war, all of which may have some validity, but it doesn't solve anything. There's no solution there. It doesn't change reality in any way. And here's the thing. When you look at the world today, you may not be able to change the president, you may not be able to change the government, you may not be able to change certain systems on your own. But I believe every one of us have the power to make a change. What we have the power to shift and change is ourselves and how we view the world. You see, when you understand that the world out here is a mirror manifestation of the collective consciousness of the totality of all of us, all humans combined. Our consciousness is projected onto the world. And the world that we see is a reflection of the totality of our consciousness combined. All of our belief systems, all of our prejudices, all of our emotions, everything that we believe is a projection into the world. In fact, we're not really in relationship to the world. We're in relationship with ourselves that's projected out here. The leaders reflect what we truly believe. The state of the world, wars, reflect what we truly believe. So if we're going to make change on the planet, we have to stop pointing the finger and we have to stop blaming and making it someone else's responsibility, because the truth is nobody is coming to save us. If we really want to make a difference on the planet, what we have to be willing to do is look at the world, not see it as separate from ourselves, to look at the world and ask ourselves, what does the world reflect to me about myself? Now the responsibility is on you and I. What does the world reflect to me about myself? What does the government, what does this war, what does this situation, what does this president, what does the world reflect to me about myself? Because what we can change is ourselves. What we can be is, we can be the change. So if you look at, let's say, a leader of your community, a mayor, a governor, the president of your country, ask yourself, what do they reflect to me about myself? It's easy to look at them and go, well, they're a liar, they're out of integrity, they're full of BS. But if we step back and go, okay, if the world is a mirror, and I'm going to take responsibility, and our consciousness is projected out there, where am I out of integrity? Where do I lie? Where do I cheat? Where do I steal? Where am I corrupt? Now you might say, but I live my life as a good person. I'm not corrupt. I'm a good human. Probably you are. But let's take a look at all the ways that we lie to ourselves about what we feel. We lie to ourselves about who we are. We pretend to be who we think we need to be in order to get love, validation, and approval. We betray ourselves. We cheat ourselves. We cheat on ourselves. We say yes when we mean no in order to fit in. These are all ways we disown ourselves. These are ways we disconnect from our own alignment and integrity. Maybe different from that president or prime minister or mayor or governor, but still, nonetheless, this is what we have the power to shift, to bring ourselves into deeper integrity by telling ourselves the truth and living the truth in our own selves and in our own life. If we don't do this, who will? The world is a mirror. It's easy to look at the world and say, well, we want world peace. There's so much war. Russia, Middle East, here, there, Africa. But if we look at the world as a mirror, and if we dare to be the change that Gandhi talked about, we must be willing to say, well, where am I at war within my own self? Where am I at war inside of my own consciousness? In so many ways, we don't realize that we drop bombs of judgment and self-hatred. Within our own selves, we hate on ourselves. We are harsh on ourselves. Day in, day out, we pick on ourselves. We sometimes abuse ourselves mentally and emotionally. We are at war within our own selves all day long. If we want to bring peace on the planet, we must be willing to love those parts of ourselves that we hate, love those parts of ourselves that we judge, love those parts of ourselves that we deem unlovable, where we carry shame and we want to, disconnect from, that we've pushed into the shadow. Our ability to bring love to those parts of ourselves that are hurting is healing. And when we bring healing, we can start to become at peace with all of ourselves and come into wholeness. Because when we forgive, when we bring love into ourselves, what we do is we shift ourselves, and in shifting ourselves, we shift the fabric of consciousness for the entire planet. We open that possibility for the planet. So where are we at war with ourselves? We want peace on the planet, but many of us, and I've been there, we won't call up our friend and apologize for that conversation. We won't forgive our mom, our dad, our brother, our sister, but we want peace in the world. There will be no peace in the world until there is peace in us, because we are the microcosm of the macro. We have to be willing to take responsibility and do our part to shift our world. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is we have to be willing to understand the nature of reality, the nature of this 3D experience called life. Life is the realm of the relative, 3D, impermanent. It is the realm of duality. When you understand this, it changes the game. In other words, there is no utopia and perfection out in the world. The world is up, down, good, bad, positive, negative, tall, short, left, right, male, female, plus, minus. It's the physics. If you're looking for perfection and peace, total peace, utopia out in the world, you won't find it in the world. It doesn't really exist in the world, and the expectation that the world fit that ideal will only create more suffering, will only create more suffering and frustration and resistance. You cannot change something at the same level of consciousness with which it was created in the first place. So if you go into the world like this shouldn't be and that shouldn't be, and from a place of anger and frustration, what you will tend to do is perpetuate and recreate more of that energy in the world, because that's where you're coming from. When you understand that the world is what it is duality, it's physics. We live in a world of interdependent polaric opposites. That's the nature of life. It's the Tao. Yin and yang, up and down. For one to exist, there has to be the complementary opposite in life. When you understand this, you accept this, you move into a deeper level of acceptance and a deeper level of surrender. That doesn't mean you don't take a stand. That doesn't mean you don't start that foundation. That doesn't mean you don't fight for the children that are being human trafficked. That doesn't mean you don't do charity work and feed the homeless. It just means from a place of acceptance, from a place of understanding, from a place of accepting what is and seeing nothing as wrong, you're not going into the world from anger or againstness or resistance. You're then able to make the choice out of love to move into the world from a place of acceptance, from a place of peacefulness, from a place of neutrality. And then you're from that place of complete acceptance of this is what it is. Life is what it is. This relative 3D realm of duality, limitation, it is limited. It's what it is. Peace, war, up, down. When you can just accept the Tao, the whole, it frees you. There's no more it shouldn't be. There's no more resistance. When you're able to move into action in the world from a place of non-resistance, you will be that much more powerful. You will be that much more free to make impact, to have impact, because you're coming from a place of love. You're coming from a place of clarity rather than from a place of againstness. When you act from a place of againstness, you tend to reinforce the very thing that you're trying to shift. So, see the world as it is. Accept it as it is. Embrace it as it is. The world is a realm of limitation. Truly though, you and I, we are infinite beings. We are infinite beings. We've been conditioned to think we are just this limited mind-body mechanism. This ego structure. But really, you are an infinite being. We just have tended to been brainwashed to forget. So you incarnate into this human experience of limitation. This simulation called life. Not to be limited. Not to be limited. But through this game of life to awaken to remember, to realize through limitation your true unlimited identity. The true unlimited essence of what you are. The limitation is here to push you to awaken to and remember your unlimited nature. This is the game. To be free in life, to be free in the world is real freedom. Because then you start seeing that the real freedom and the real peace is not out here, it's in here. And when you bring peace to your mind, when you bring peace within yourself, from that place of peacefulness, you're able to go into the world and take action. You're able to go into the world and be an activist. But your actions and your activism is no longer coming from your ego or your identity. It's arising from your soul. Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's short video blog. Share it with someone in your life that you feel would truly benefit. You can go to my website, kuteblackson.com, and enter your name and your email to receive a free 3-part video training series. Much love.